Hi, this is Laken Callahan. These are my 5 adults. Can you see me if I do this? If I stand here? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So, my name is Laken, and I am presenting you today with the argument of nature versus nurture when determining psychopathy. So, nature is a pre-wiring of the brain. We're kind of the theory that we're born with our mental situations, and nurture, which I'm arguing for, is being the cause of psychopathy, is our life experiences defined as an influence of external factors, often happening like even inside the womb. Psychopathy is defined in the article prevalence of psychopathy in general adult population as personality disorders characterized by behaviors conflicting with social, moral, or legal norms, and fundamentally, it is defined as non-criminal behaviors, but has the presence of personal traits related to lack of emotion, lack of nervousness, absence of remorse, and inability to love. It also presents as outwardly appearing normal. So, the next thing I will discuss is behavioral learning theory, specifically B.F. Skinner, a pioneer of behavioralism. Behavioral learning theory is important to this argument because it explains how nurture overrides nature. Behavioral learning theory, or behaviorism, is learning from the environment and learned conditioning, like parenting styles, culture, life experiences that all shape personality, which is explained by McLeod in Nature versus Nurture Debate in Psychopathy. Skinner defined behaviorism as all behavior learned through conditioning, interaction with environment, and had an emphasis on reinforcement and punishment. McLeod also writes in his article that behaviorism theorizes abnormal behavior and mental illness stem from faulty learning instead of internal and unconscious behavior. So, and faulty learning in that aspect leads to the unconscious and internal problems that we have. That being said, I do not think babies are born bad. In the article, Hidden Suffering of Psychopaths, it explains that life history of psychopaths have chaotic upbringings, lack of parental attention and guidance, lack of parental antisocial behavior and abuse, or like divorce. An example of the lack of parenting styles or the antisocial parenting behaviors is from an article that DeAngelis writes called The Broader View of Psychology. It states that moms with a history of antisocial behavior are likely to have kids that exhibit a callous emotional trait, including lack of empathy, lack of guilt or remorse, lack of emotional expression. But this argument is debunked by saying positive parenting, like highly positive parenting and positive reinforcement by parents can ultimately buffer and prevent antisocial risks in children altogether. So it's not inherently antisocial behavior from moms. And now we know more about behaviorism and how it can affect a child growing up negatively or positively. Let's look at Ted Bundy, a notorious psychopath's childhood upbringing and traumas. So Ted Bundy was raised to believe that his mom was his sister. So the person who raised him as his mother was his grandmother, who had depression. She went through shock therapy all the time, and she also had agoraphobia, so she never left the house instead of going to like the therapy appointments. And his grandfather, who raised him as his dad, had a raging temper. Also, his aunt once recalled a time that Ted, as a toddler, she woke up to him placing butcher knives in her bed. And she found it crazy because she said in the article in Vanity Fair that she was thinking at the time that she was the only one who thought it was strange because nobody did anything. And maybe if somebody did do something, he wouldn't have turned out the way he did. Behaviorism. Nature wins in this article. Conclusion. A child is conditioned through external factors, nurturing, that take the form of reinforcement and punishment as they grow into an adult. And even if risk factors are present, a highly positive parent with positive reinforcement and punishments can ultimately change antisocial risk factors in children. So I hope you find that nurture wins over nature. Thank you.
Like a 737.
Perfect.
Pretty tough.